Do you know why Malingen and Lochner are named after twin meteor impact craters? Because they make one hell of an impact on the game. Welcome to an episode of How Hard Could It Be, where I make yet another mini-series about a video game, then talk about some of my challenges in the process. Death Stranding is an intriguing game. It has a lot in common with an onion. What, you may ask?
You get it! We both have layers!
So anyways, I want to take some time peeling back some of the various layers of the game as I have my various epiphanies of understanding. I'm not going to be looking up anything from anyone else's videos, not looking at spoilers in the game for things I have yet to experience, or going on wiki dives. These are all my interpretations. Spoilers from here on out, and for now, I'll be starting with spoilers from here on out. And for now, I'll be starting with Malingen, also known as Mama. So let me crack open a monster. And we'll unpack this. When you meet Mama, she seems like a fairly minor character. She is one of the minds behind the Cupid. She's a brilliant inventor and scientist, creating much of the hardware that you eventually gain in the game. Alongside that, she's a mother. It's right there in the name. Unlike a normal mother, however, her child has passed on to the other side, to the beach. A terrorist bombing of a hospital while she is inside about to receive a C-section left her stuck helpless, with only timeful available to keep her alive. Now she resides in the bombed-out hospital caring for her ghost baby. Okay, summary aside, what is all of this saying? What's the point to this character, her portrayal, and her place in the story? Naturally, Mama represents motherhood. She is literally tethered to her child through an umbilicus, one that connects them both physically and spiritually. It comes with its benefits, but also its disadvantages. Their bond literally keeps Malingen alive. When she and her child were trapped in that hospital, her Ka passed on. She actually died. However, due to whatever weirdness is going on in the Death Stranding universe, her Ba was able to remain tethered to her body through her child. Her child literally kept her alive. What are the Ka and the Ba, you might ask? These terms come from Egyptian mythology. The Ka is the vital essence. You can consider it as the energy within you that keeps you alive. It is what separates the living from the dead. It is when the Ka leaves the body that one dies. The Ba, on the other hand, is the personality. It is what makes me, me, and what makes you, you. You can think of the Ka as your heartbeat, in a way, and the Ba is the inner workings of your neurons in your brain. For Mama, her BT baby is supplying the Ka essence for her body. Now, I'm no expert on the Death Stranding, but it almost seems as though BTs are the Ka left behind when something dies, and it is their Ba that leaves the body and our plane and passes on. And as I gain more understanding, I'll probably eat those words. But let's pull back from that tangent. The problem for Mama, of course, is that she is trapped now. The BTs appear to be tethered to certain locations. They don't exactly roam about much. And so Mama is tethered to the hospital as well. That explains the why, but not the why. Well, let's talk about early motherhood in society for a moment. It can be very, very difficult. It can, in fact, be potentially completely isolating for a new mother. Suddenly, you have this new living thing to care for. It's noisy, has no self-control. Anything it does, you have to clean up after, and feeding it can be a whole host of new hassles, whether it's breastfeeding, formula, or trying to do both. There's the constant criticisms that come from everyone's opinions. You're feeding it wrong, you're burping it wrong, co-sleep, don't co-sleep, noisy toys, quiet toys, no toys, Combined into that the fact that there's significant societal pressure not to take your baby anywhere. You can't exactly take it to see a movie, can't go to a nice restaurant with a baby, can't go to a play, can't go to the bar. Suddenly, your entire life shifts almost irreversibly. You may be left behind by your family, your friends, have to quit going to work for maternity leave. It's just you and the baby. Maybe the husband, if you can take paternity leave, but depending on where you live, that may not be an option. If you don't have a good support group, this can easily be an incredibly isolating experience. This is reflected by Mama's literal isolation. She's by herself in her hospital bunker. Her and the ghost baby. Sure, she can telepresence to talk to others, but in the physical space, it's just her. She also self-isolates from the person she was having this baby with, having the baby for. Her sister Lochna, who she was surrogating for. Even the closest relationships a mother has can be strained by pregnancy and the changes that come post-pregnancy. Now, just a moment ago, I mentioned another aspect of Mama's design, surrogacy. It's a newer concept enabled by modern technology, with the first in vitro fertilization taking place in 1978 in our universe. Malingen undertook this procedure for her sister Lochna. Surrogacy is itself its own interesting bag of cats. It can be a complicated emotional state. Malingen says that she doesn't care about children, yet she is now forced to care for this ghost baby. Now, I haven't gotten a chance to talk to any surrogate mothers, but I have to wonder about the BT baby's place in all this. See, the BT baby could represent several aspects of the child side of things in motherhood. Let's start with surrogacy. In surrogacy, I imagine the child is given to the true parents fairly quickly. This could leave an empty emotional place for the surrogate mother, a hole in their world, so to speak. A ghost. They undertook these significant sacrifices to their body with this pregnancy, but now their body has all the hormones to deal with, their mind has the emotional burden to undertake, but nothing to show for it, so to speak. Is this the hole that Malingen is dealing with in her life, caring for a shadow of a child that was never going to be hers? Is this trying to allude to a tie always being there between the woman who carries a child to term and the child, even if the two are separated from one another? Of course, there's another angle for the BT baby to be viewed through. Stillbirth, miscarriage, or the general loss of a child. Malingen lost a child that she had carried to term. Even in the 21st century, this is still the reality for many. Again, this is a subject with which I don't have any actual experience, and I hesitate to even ask others about it. It's a hard subject to broach, and so I will try to do so with care. Malingen cares for the BT that is her baby as if it were an actual baby. She feeds it, coddles it, rocks it to sleep, even has toys with which to distract and entertain it. She treats it as a real child. Is this due to grief, love, practicality? It's impossible to say, really. Grief is a difficult thing to deal with. Some get through it by packing everything away, donating it, and moving on. Some grieve through preservation, only letting the slow erosion of time through life disturb the rooms of those they've lost. And some still turn to activism and creating causes in honor of those they have lost, similar to Mama's furthering of bridges. There's no easy answer to grief. It seems to me as though Mama copes by burying herself in her work, while also going through the motions with her ghost baby. Now, you might ask, why was Malingen, Mama, Trapped in a hospital. She could have been trapped in any number of places, so why a hospital specifically? Mothers can be trapped and isolated in hospitals in a variety of ways. Pregnancy is a difficult process that can come with many complications. A mother can lose organs in the process, or the process of pregnancy can reveal other ailments, even cancer. During delivery, there can be rips and surgeries. There's also the risk to the baby itself. Any of these things can require a longer stay, and with it again, isolation. The time at the hospital can be a surreal experience. Sometimes the hospital can be a pure experience between mother and newborn child, a womb in its own right, warm, safe, free of the outside world, if but for a small period of time. It can introduce so many new experiences due to medical necessities, such as catheters, diapers, both for the baby and the mother. Alongside all of that, fear and worry of the unknown future. Premature babies require extra care, and often that care is away from the mother, and both must heal separately. Hospitals are where motherhood begins, and sometimes it's also where motherhood abruptly ends. Kojima made a particularly poignant choice, placing Mama here. Now we come to the end of Mama's story, at least as we know it. Mama has Sam cut the umbilical cord between her and the BT baby. This releases her baby's Ka, and simultaneously seems to begin to release her Ba into the afterlife. She dies after you get to Mountain Knot City. But then a weird thing happens.
Sis? I can hear you. We're whole again. We're one. Like before in the womb, remember? Malingen. Akna.
Malingen seems to merge with Lochna. This comes with its own mythological, that of the Greek history for humans. Now, Plato may or may not be a hack in this department, but he tells of how Zeus split mankind in half. Originally, humans were a whole, split along the back, and they had a two-faced head, 4 arms and 4 legs. This is where that whole thing about soulmates stems from. For Malingen and Lochna, they are 2 parts of the same whole, and so when Malingen's body passes on, her Ba instead rejoins alongside Lochna's, creating a potentially greater whole. This is signified through the changing of one of Lochna's eyes from brown to blue. I want to go back a moment and talk about Malingen's choice. At some point, every mother generally has to make a choice to let their child go in some way. In many ways, actually. Sometimes, it's that first time they let someone else care for their child, whether it's for work or just going out. There can be a lot of anxiety with that. Same with them going to school for the first time. Then there's letting them leave the nest completely. There are so many ways in which a parent has to let go, and all of these can have some measure of grief associated with them, as bonds change, bend, strain, and sometimes even break over time. However, as a parent, you almost always have to let go in some way, both for your child's sake, but also your own, and even for others. In this case, Malingen had to let go of her ghost baby for the sake of britches, for the greater good. And I guess I'll soon find out whether this turns out well for her, and for Sam, and Lochna. I think that's everything that went into Mama's story and her placement within the world, as well as her baby BT. I have covered isolation, hospitals, surrogacy, the loss of a child, even ancient interpretations of the soul, and soulmates. This all combines into a quite poignant character. I like that word, poignant, evoking a keen sense of sadness or regret. I feel as though a lot of this game dwells in this mood, this word, from the environment to the characters and even some of the enemies. Now, if there's anything I missed, I ask that you let me know. Maybe you have something to share from your own journey through Death Stranding. Now, onto my usual challenges. So, of course, I'm a dude, a childless one at that. I've had some of my own forays into fatherhood, whether it's being an older brother or living with someone who had a youngin' for almost a year. Clearly, I needed to get some more perspectives. So, I did. I asked for some experiences from a group I'm a part of on Discord. To those of you who answered my questions and shared your buckets of knowledge, I'm so grateful. I wanted to use some props, so I printed off some pictures, and I really appreciate this surrogacy one that came from Cure Talks. Such a great representation of the concept that also works beautifully for Malingen and Lochna. I don't know. I really wanted something physical to work with instead of just collaging some pictures together on Paint 3D. Now, I've got some extra tools recently to utilize, but I don't want to talk about them at this moment in time. Maybe in another video. I'm trying to keep this one just a little shorter. For now, I'm just looking forward to more deep dives into this game. I'll try to revisit Death Stranding as frequently as possible. For now, I just ask that you survive despite all odds, care for a ghost baby, invent some of the coolest shit around, and remember that it's okay to let go.